Hello, all you wonderful people out there. This is the host of the podcast that you are about to listen to. But before we get started, I want to ask you for a favor. I know many of you out there have already liked and shared this podcast on Facebook, and thank you very much for doing so, and please continue to do so. But let's not forget about another way to help this podcast grow, and that way is called word of mouth. That's right, before there was Facebook, there was something called word of mouth. And here's how that works. You listen to the show, then you tell a family member about the show, and then you tell a friend, then you tell a coworker, and then maybe you tell somebody that you go to church with. I really want to grow this show, and I will take all the help I can get. So thank you very much for listening, and now let's get the show started.
Cyberspace astronauts, are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Thank you very much, and welcome to episode 3-6 of the Todd Cook Show. I am here, you are here, I am talking, you are listening. This is the Todd Cook Show, and like I said, it is episode 3-6. Now, last week, I started the show by saying it was episode 3-4, but in reality, it was episode 3-5. I misspoke, and I think at some point I indicated that I thought that I might have misspoke, but I wasn't sure. But as it turns out, I did indeed give the wrong episode. That was episode 3-5. Now this is episode 3-6, which means season 3, episode 6 of the Todd Cook Show. Thank you very much for listening. I got a few things I want to talk to you today about. By the way, this is a podcast unlike any other podcast. This is a podcast that I call a small talk podcast. You've heard about talk radio. Well, this is kind of like small talk radio, except for it's not the radio, it's the internet, so it's a podcast. And the reason for that is this show, I don't really talk about much of anything important. And I'm saying this for some of those people out there who might be listening for the first time and you're wondering what you're going to be listening to. I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about sports. I don't talk about pop culture. I'm not going to bore you with any of those topics. Instead, I'm going to tell you all about my boring family and my boring life and some other little things I get into on occasion. But for the most part, this show is kind of like the Seinfeld of the podcast world. It's a show about nothing. And if you listen to it long enough, you understand what I mean. It's a show about nothing, but it is entertaining. And even sometimes, on rare occasions, I think it's kind of funny. But here we go. On this episode, I want to talk to you about my dog. I'm just going to ask a simple question about my dog. And that question is, why does my dog have to act like that? Why does he have to be like that? I've talked about him a few times before in the history of this podcast. One time I tried to do an interview with him, but every time I stuck the microphone in front of his face, all he did was snore. So I'm not going to try that ever again. He's not in the studio at the moment at all, but I'm going to talk about him and ask the question, why does my dog have to be like that? And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my son. Both of my sons went to the doctor, and about a little confession that my oldest son, who's 7, a little confession that Johnny made to the doctor. And I also got some music by a band out of Hutchinson, Kansas called Blackwall Monument. You don't want to miss that. They'll be coming up in just a few short minutes. So let's get started. All right, my dog. I got a Basset Hound, and like I said, I've talked about him before in this show. His name is Dozer, and he's one of those droopy-eyed dogs. If you don't know what a Basset Hound, look it up. It's a very droopy-eyed dog. Have you ever watched the Dukes of Hazzard? Roscoe P. Coltrane's dog was the Basset Hound. Except for Roscoe P. Coltrane's dog was a little more of a desirable Basset Hound, meaning his dog might have been able to compete in some dog competitions, dog shows. because he really had that purebred looking basset hound about him. Now, I believe my dog is a purebred basset hound, but he doesn't have all the desired features of a basset hound. He looks, basically like a log with some little tree limb type legs sticking out the bottom of him and a long snout. Just a funny looking dog, but he's one of those dogs, like I said, a droopy eyed dog that always looks like he's sad. He's not. He's probably one of the happiest dogs around, but he always looks kind of sad. And, he's a good dog. I like a lot about him. He greets me at the door when I come home. He's always really happy about that. And for some dumb reason, that makes me feel good to have this brainless dog come up to me and just wag its tail and be all happy. Some reason that makes me feel good. But he's got some things that I wish I could break him. And I've said this before. He's the best dog I've ever had. When it comes to behavior issues, he has very little, if any, that I'm really concerned about. But there are a few things that concern me. I've had dogs in the past. They always, bark a lot, or they're not good around strangers, or they're not good around other dogs, or they're just really hyper, or they tear up things. This dog does none of that. But one of the weird things that he does, he's got those droopy eyes, and this breed of dog, or any dog that has the droopy eyes, a bulldog, I think even boxers have that, or in my case, a basset hound. When they have those droopy eyes, they also have some tendency to have a little eye goo, a little leakage around their eyes. And, I used to take a piece of paper towel every now and wipe his eyes out. And I don't think he needs that anymore. Not because his eyes don't drain anymore. They still do. But because he's found a great way to wipe them himself. He just walks up to somebody who's wearing a pair of pants and just wipes his eyes right all over your pants. And he does that to me a lot. And you look down, and you get this big, slimy, snotty-looking streak across the bottom of your pants. And it's not like he comes up and just kind of does it shyly, or that he just kind of does it almost accidentally as he's rubbing up against you. No, it's very purposeful. He walks right up to you, puts the side of his face against your pant leg, and just slides his face across there, wiping his eyes. A very purposeful motion. I don't know why he does that. Well, like I said, obviously, of the fluid that's draining from his eyes, bugging him, he wants to get rid of it. That makes perfectly good sense. But why on everybody's pants? And it seems like he likes to do it more on people that are wearing black pants than he does on people that might be just wearing a pair of blue jeans. And it shows up really well on a black pair of pants. Walk inside the house with a nice pair of black pants on, and 30 seconds later, you got this big streak of snot across the bottom of your pants. I need to find a way to break him of that. He does it on the furniture some too, and that doesn't bother me. You can just wipe it off or whatever. But if you get ready to go out somewhere, you can't get anywhere near the dog. He'll wipe his eyes on you. Another thing, he follows my 3-year-old around quite a bit, but only when the 3-year-old has food in his hand. Because he has figured out that whenever a 3-year-old has food, there's a good chance that food will eventually fall on the floor. And he's right. I can't say he's a dumb dog. He's figured that out. It's very accurate that there's a good chance that 3-year-old will drop a part of his food at some point. Whether he's holding a graham cracker or whatever it might be, a potato chip, whatever he might have given him. At some point, there's a good chance that he will drop it. And my dog's ready. And he especially gets excited when we put Jackson in the high chair. And then that dog goes right underneath that high chair and just sits there and waits, like he's starving to death. And anybody who's seen my dog knows he's not starving. It's pretty obvious he's not starving. He's a well-built guy. But he sits underneath that high chair and just hoping for any crumb that he can get. And he does. He gets crumbs quite frequently. And to tell you the truth, it's not too bad because my 3-year-old makes a bit of a mess on the floor. I'd have to pick it up. I'd have to clean it up. But since we've got the dog cleans it up. 3-year-old drops some spaghetti on the floor. Dozer's right there. He drops some a cracker on the floor. Dozer's right there. Some green beans on the floor. And I'm pretending like my son eats all this healthy food when I know he doesn't. But really, it's mostly going to be cereal or peanut butter and jelly. But if he, drops his broccoli on the floor, yeah, like he'd ever eat broccoli. And I don't think Dozer would even eat that. So we'd really be in trouble if we ever fed. That's another reason I don't want to feed my son too many healthy things, because when he drops those on the floor, if he drops broccoli or spinach or carrots or whatever on the floor, the dog won't eat that. And I'd have to clean it up. So I'm going to keep feeding him peanut butter and jelly and things like that I know my dog will eat. All right, I'm going to take a short little break here. When I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my dog because there are a few other things that my dog does that makes it difficult on me sometimes. So don't go anywhere. I will continue this conversation right after this short break. Hey, all you Wichitonians, Hey, everybody from the Wichita area. Have you ever had car problems? Have you ever slid into a ditch? Have you ever needed a tow? Don't waste your time looking for a tow company that you might not be able to trust. Call B&B Towing at 316-214-4021. It is a locally owned family business that can help you. So if you have a car that needs towed or repaired or both, call him. Or if you have a car in a ditch that needs a winch, call Cheyenne Brown at B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. He's a 20-year veteran of the United States Air Force. That's B&B Towing, 316-214-4021.
He leaves the house and forgets things all the time. Todd Cook.
Yes, that's very, very true. I cannot tell you the number of times I've left this house, drove away, got a half a mile away from the house and had to turn around, come back and get something that I forgot, whether it be the grocery list of the list of things that I was on my way to get, or my wallet, or my cell phone, whatever the case might be. It happens to me quite frequently. And tell you the truth, it happens to my wife as well. Me and her have both, got the kids in the van and headed out to go somewhere and got halfway down the road and she forgot something. And so we had to go back. So that happens quite a bit. We have my mother-in-law babysit. And I think when we ever leave the house, she pretty much knows that we're going to be back shortly. So she just kind of leaves the door unlocked and just waits for us. That's how often it happens. It's pretty bad. All right, let's get back to talking about my dog. I got music by Black Wall Monument coming up. They're a band out of Hutchinson, Kansas. I think I would call them punk band. I used to like me some punk rock. I listened to this band, really good tune that we have coming up in just a few short moments. So don't wait don't go anywhere. You want to wait and listen for that. All right, my dog. Another thing he does is that he follows me around the house quite a bit. Not always. Sometimes he'll be laying down and taking a nap. But if he's awake and I'm moving around, a lot of times he's right at my heels. And again, I don't know why, but for some reason this makes me feel good sometimes. But other times it's just downright annoying, especially when he's following you and you turn around and walk back and he's standing there right at your feet and you about trip over him. And then you try to move him and he's just like looking at you like, what? Oh, you want to go this way? And then he'll turn around and walk, but then he'll be in front of you. So you still can't get around him and he's not real fast. And he's like waiting for you. He keeps turning around, to make sure that I'm following him. And so he gets in my way quite a bit like that. And the other day, we're trying to get a little organized here around the house. And so we went downstairs to the basement. We have a finished basement down here and a laundry room. And we're down here trying to get things a little organized, trying to put things in totes and get things straightened up a little bit. And I'm making trips up and down the stairs quite frequently, getting some stuff together, taking it upstairs. And then going back down and getting something else and taking it upstairs. And during about a 2 or 3 hour span, I probably went up down the stairs, 100 times. And that dumb dog would sit there and follow me every time, which is all right, except for he does kind of get in your way, especially if you're carrying a box or something. You don't want to trip over him. But he always looks at you with those sad eyes as if he's saying, what are you doing to me? I just walked up these stairs. You're going to make me go back down and then back up again? And then back down again? How many times are you going to make me do this? And I just want to look at him and say, Dozer. And I actually did do this. I looked at him and I said, Dozer, you don't have to follow me everywhere. I feel bad for you. I do. I feel bad for the guy because he's not, once again, he's not in the greatest shape. He's not an athletic dog by any stretch of the imagination. Going up down the stairs with those short little legs and that big body, it's got to be tough for him. But he followed me down and backed up. Down and back up and just look at me like I was just doing something to him to torment him. When in reality, he had no reason to follow me. And at some point, I'd finally get him to stay. I'd say, just stay there. Stay at the bottom of the stairs. I'll be right back. And a couple times he would stay there. But then he would look at me with those sad eyes all the time. Oh, look, now you're going to leave me? I'm like, dog, just stay down there somewhere. You think he'd eventually figure out that I'm going to be right back down, but he never did. Just up and down and up and down and up and down until he gets exhausted, and then finally goes to the corner, finds his pillow, and then lays down and goes to sleep. And right now, we're not letting him on the furniture. We used to let him up there some, but now we got a new 5-month-old baby. I guess might be 6 months old now. She was born October 5th. And she, because we have her, and because the dog has a lot of hair, and because his hair doesn't seem to like to stay on his body, and seems to like to fall off and get on the furniture and float around in the air quite a bit, because of the babies up there and stuff, we don't want to be taking, hairs and getting off the baby's bottles and off of her, lips and stuff, and having her sucking her bottle and get choked on hair. So we're keeping the dog off the furniture, at least for now, and probably forever. It's nice because he really does shed quite a bit, and just sweeping the carpet, twice a day is enough. When he gets on the furniture, you got to start cleaning the furniture off, 2 or 3 times a day. And I guess from what I heard, other dogs don't do that. I remember dogs I had in the past don't shed that much, but this guy sheds quite a bit. But anyway, we're keeping him off the furniture. But now I'll be sitting in my recliner and with my feet stretched out there, and he'll come and force his big head and big nose between my feet and then stare at me on the recliner with those, once again, sad eyes, and just start whining and getting all excited like he wants me to pet him. But I used to just, invite him up on the furniture every now and then. He'd sit on my lap, but he's just too big for that even. Forget about the hair. The guy's just a massive animal, and he jumps up on you, and it's like about knocks the love seat back, or the recliner back against the wall, and it's tough. So we've been keeping him on the floor, but he'll stick his head there between my feet and start whining and look at me with those sad eyes. And I don't mean that he just kind of comes up there and puts his face there. I mean, he will press his face between my feet so he can get right in that position and then sit there and stare at me. And eventually, since we can't lay him on the furniture, I'll have to get down on the floor, and then he'll sit down beside me or lay beside me. And he's awkward too. No matter, it's like he wants to put his head on your lap, but he'll have his butt in the wrong position to where when he lays down, his head is halfway up my body. And then his neck's all kinked over, and I got to push him and shove him and turn him around so he can get comfortable. And then I just sit there and pet him as he wipes his drool and his eye boogers all over me. All right, let's play a song for you, folks. This is a song by Blackwall Monument. The song is called The Hardest Part. They are out of Hutchinson, Kansas. Blackwall Monument with The Hardest Part. That is Blackwall Monument with The Hardest Part. I'm looking at a website here that describes them as rock, punk, or alternative. That sounds pretty punk rock to me. I like it. Blackwall Monument out of Hutchinson, Kansas. Look them up on Facebook. Find out where they're going to be playing next. I'm sure they got CDs and stuff available as well. And that song was brought to you by Morris Glass and Service. If you have any kind of a glass issue at your house with mirrors, shower doors, tabletops, shelves, custom cutting, custom auto glass, storm windows, storm doors, patio doors, insulated glass, replacement windows and doors, you need to call the Morris Glass and Service Company out of Wichita, Kansas, 946-0745. He came to my house, replaced my kitchen sliding glass door. Actually, he didn't replace it. He could have replaced it. He could have charged me a lot more money, but instead he just did a fantastic repair on it. And the door has never worked any better. I cannot recommend this guy any more than that. Morris Glass and Service, 946-0745. And with that, I got to take another short little break here. Don't go anywhere. Hold on a second. Let me try this again. Take a short little break here. I'll be right back with a little more fun. It is 2014, folks, and computers have taken over the world. Well, not really, but they are everywhere. And if you're a business owner, you know how computers can enhance your ability to operate your business. But most likely, you're also familiar with how difficult it can be trying to manage your computer network. Are you having some trouble in the IT department and you need some help? Well, if you live in the Warsaw, Indiana area, you are in luck. Just get whacked. WACD can help. Just go to wacdllc.com and find out how. They can help with network installation, maintenance, security, and more. And they don't just help businesses, they can help anybody. WACD can even help with hardware and software sales and services. And believe it or not, they can help you with many issues even if you don't live anywhere near the Warsaw, Indiana area. As long as you have an internet connection, they can help you fix your computer or install new software remotely. They can even set you up with a brand new PC or Mac. So whether you're a business or an individual, get whacked today. WACDLLC.com. That's WACDLLC.com.
He went roller skating and broke his arm trying to do the whip maneuver with his wife, Todd Cook.
Yes, but it was not totally my fault. Okay, my son had a roller skating party that his school put on. We took him to that, me, my wife, and him. And as we were getting ready to leave, the ICT, the Wichita Roller Derby girls, showed up. And I think they were going to use that facility to practice once all of us had cleared out. And my wife and I had just watched a movie called Whip It with Drew Barrymore, and I can't think what the other name of that lady is. She was in Juno, and that's about her being wanting to be a roller derby girl. So we just watched that movie about a girl wanting to become a roller derby girl, and we just saw the ICT ladies warming up out there, or they were starting to lace up and get ready to anyway. And my wife and I tried to do a whip it maneuver, and we both fell down. She was fine. I broke my arm. No big deal. It happens, right? All right, let's finish this show up here talking about my son, or both my sons, actually. They both had doctor's appointments. We scheduled them at the same time so we could just get in there and get out. And I had to take them myself. My wife was at work. Whenever we have something like that that's in the mornings, I work in the evenings and my wife works in the mornings. And so anytime we have something like that works, actually I should say I work in the afternoon. She works until noon, and I go in like at 12:30 or so, and work until 6 or 7. Anyway, anytime we have an appointment that's in the morning, that means I have to take them. If there's an appointment that's in the afternoon, that means she has to take them. This one was in the morning, so I had to take them. Both Johnny, the 7-year-old, and Jackson, the 3-year-old, left the baby with grandma. That would have been nearly impossible to have the baby and both of them at the same time. Anyway, I took the boys in there, and Johnny did really well. At 7 years old, he's able to listen to what the doctors need or what the nurses need, and he did really well. The 3-year-old Jackson, on the other hand, was a whole different story. And this guy did not want to stand still for anything, or sit still, or be quiet. He was constantly wanting to be on the go. And it got kind of bad right at the beginning as they took him back there. The one nurse took Jackson, and then the other nurse went to take Johnny. And then Jackson went to follow Johnny. But then once they finally separated them, then Jackson didn't want to come back again. And so there was a whole routine of that going on of Jackson, no, this way, Jackson, no, that way, Jackson. Jackson, come back here. No, Jackson, you got to go that way. And then just to stand on the scale, Jackson's standing there, and he's like stomping his feet because he likes how it was rattling around. The scale kind of moves under his feet. He'd stomp his feet and kind of shake it a little bit. And then he'd like grab a hold of the pole, which would change his weight, would affect how much he weighs. So I had to take his hands down. Finally got to weigh him and all that stuff. And the best part, though, was towards the end of the doctor's appointment, the doctor's like sitting there just asking Johnny, the 7-year-old, different questions, about this and that. And then he's asking me questions. And at some point, they asked the question about how often does he brush his teeth? Or actually asked Johnny, how often do you brush your teeth? And Johnny says, 2 times every day, in the morning and at night. Except when I don't have school, then I just do it at night. So now this is not what the doctor wants to hear. The doctor wants to hear that he does it at least twice a day, maybe 3 times a day would probably be fine. And we do our best. When he gets up before he goes to school, he definitely brushes his teeth, and again at night. But then Johnny just flat out says, except for on days I don't have school, then it's just at night. And the reason for that is, Saturday morning, me and my wife could sleep in for an extra 20 minutes or something we do. And then with breakfast and everything going on, it's not a part of the routine. During the school, when he's got school, it's get up, get dressed, get ready, give him a shower if he needs it, and brush his teeth. That's all part of the routine. But on Saturday mornings, you don't have that feeling of got to get this done, got to do this, got to, that routine gets kind of broken up. So so Saturday and Sunday mornings, it's fairly common that we forget to brush his teeth in the morning. But he really shouldn't have told the doctor that. But, actually that's fine. He was being completely honest, but that wasn't the big one. Here's the big one that he kind of told the doctor that I really wish he would have been a little more quiet about. The doctor's asking how much, they play outside, how much Johnny plays outside. Does he go outside, every day that the weather's nice, and stuff like that. I said, yeah, he does. And then the next one is the dreaded, how long does he watch TV? And now they just call it screen time. It used to be, TV, and then it was like maybe TVs or video games. But now with TVs, video games, and computers, and all this other stuff, they just call it screen time. How often does he, either watching TV or playing a video game? How often is he looking at a screen? And I think, it starts at 2 hours or less. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but then the doctor was asking Johnny, I don't think the doctor was even talking to Johnny at that point. He was talking to me because, Johnny doesn't understand time. He doesn't know if it's been a half hour or 2 hours or 10 hours. He doesn't quite understand that concept yet. So he's asking me about how long does Johnny spend with screen time, looking at a screen, whether it be the computer or the TV. And as I'm getting my answer, at some point, Johnny goes, sometimes I play the computer as I'm watching TV. And I was like, I looked over at him. If the doctor hadn't been there, I would have said, "What are you doing? Come on, kid." But he was just being completely honest. You can't blame him for that. But I'm pretty sure the doctor didn't want to hear that. I think the best answer for those questions are, as very little as possible. And I was probably exaggerating a little bit, trying to, say that he doesn't watch quite as much as he does TV or on the computer. But Johnny just kind of came right out and just said it. Yeah, sometimes I watch computer, or I'm on the computer as I'm watching TV. So that's probably not good. My wife and I need to work on that. But that's it for this episode of the Todd Cook Show. I'll be back with another episode at some point. Just keep checking back on Facebook and you'll see it there. But for now, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this program here. And make sure you tune in again sometime soon. There'll be another episode up. But until then, this is the Todd Cook Show. I'll talk. You listen.